Hello everyone. So today we will start with the session 6. We will go through Git workflow. Like I already told in my previous session, every company, every team has its own Git workflow. So whenever you join a team, it's best to understand from someone working there as what is their process. And understand the flow. But I will go through one of the well-known flows called the GitFlow, and then we will also go through the best practices with respect to commit, branching, and merging, since we just finished this in the last session. Okay, so let's get started. Gitflow was introduced or was blocked around 2010, and this is the initial 2010 link. You can go through this, very nicely explained. This is another the recent post based on the previous one. So I'll quickly explain. So there are multiple states in a project, wherein one in with respect to Git, and one will be the master, and when you have an hotfix, when you have a release, and when you are doing development and working on feature. All of them will not have all these states. So where I have worked previously, obviously you will have a master. We had hotfix branch created whenever we had issues, and we didn't have a release branch since we were working on Scrum and Agile. Uh, we always worked on one release at a time, so the develop branch itself is to handle that particular requirement of ours. When each developer was working on particular feature, they would create their respective feature branch and work on them, and once that is locally tested and unit tested, it would be merged. So if I have to explain in detail, here you have a master, and once you had a master version 0.1, you started working for a release, probably release 1.0, you have started working already, and that's why they created a develop branch. Someone was assigned the feature and they have been working on it. Okay, someone else would have been assigned another feature, and they would have started working on this, and while this happened, they would have found a bug in production which had to be fixed. So they create a branch called hotfix, and once that is fixed, that fix gets into the master, so that that can be deployed in production, and that fix also comes into your development branch, because what you're working on, that should be having that fix, right? Else that fix will be lost. And once the feature is done and it's unit tested, this would be moved back to the develop branch, and once it is ready for release, it will be, I mean, you had the build for the release, you would move it to the release branch. So usually the testing or the validation would happen at this point or this point. Again, it depends on your team. Since you have the release build, this directly can be pushed to the master, and then that is deployed into production, and the process goes on. People start working for the next release, and then you work on the develop branch. This is how the sequence or the cycle goes on. That's about the Git flow. Next, some of the there are many plugins on VS Code. Some of the most common and the most useful and the most basic ones that you can install would be Git graph and Git lens. It will show you this kind of graph similar to the one you get with Git log graph. So let me just pull the VSE, and this is, and it has many other features. You can actually do a lot of things without writing the commands. If you So this is about the Git lens. So if I close and open my Git graph, this is how it will look. So you can do a lot of things from here, like, it will give me options of checking out cherry pick, or you want to merge. Can be done just with a right click and choosing the options. So this can be done as well. Okay, uh, getting back to where we were, next is the best practices for commit, branching, and merging. Now in commit, one important thing is you are giving a commit message. So let's go into the details about what is required in that message, or what are the best practices there. One, it has to be clear and concise, like you saw when you click git log. A single beautiful, clean, concise sentence can convey a lot. That should be clear and concise. And then usually the tone should be in that imperative tone. Imperative means kind of you're giving an order, like example, like I said, create a checkbox, or instead of writing I created a checkbox, or I'm creating a checkbox with this commit. Okay, another example is fix bug. It's like you're ordering. Next is what is the recommended format of how you write it. So first you need to write the subject, right? It should be capitalized and imperative verb. Imperative, I mentioned what does imperative mean. Next you keep a blank line, and then if you have to give detailed and I suggest you give detailed explanation about the whys and whats. I'm meaning why are you making this change, what was the idea, and what did you change, what was it before, what was later. And in case you are writing fixing multiple things there, please write it in bullet points. Okay, and try to wrap the characters at the 72 characters. Why? So when you, yeah, when you git log it, right, you will, it will not auto wrap it. Okay, so if it has to be presentable and readable, it's best to keep it at 72 characters. So again, the detailed explanation of why and what's of this, it is on this link. That's about the commit. In short, it has to be clear and concise. It should be imperative mode. You should have a nice subject line, and then followed by a blank line, and then you should have a detailed explanation wrapped at 72 characters. That's all. Next we will go keep using git status, especially before the commits. To this practice will help you lot of errors in future. These are basically assumption errors. Please abundantly use git log and git status. Next is branching. Commit your code before you switch the branch. So if you think you're half done and you need to save it, you can stash it. We will have a session on stashing. Stashing is nothing but a temporary cupboard wherein you keep your code, and then you can come back and continue with it. Next is know your branch and where your head is pointing. You know, while using git branch, the star would signify where you are, and then you can use tools like the git graph I just mentioned, the extensions. Also another way is like I told you initially, that you know, when you commit, everything is traced in a folder called git .git folder. So it, wherever you're pointing, right, the hash code, let me show you, let me pull this up. So this is the .git folder. This is my project B, like you know, this is the one we have initialized. This is the .git folder, and in .git folder, oh, not the references. In the .git folder, in references, in the heads, okay, this will show where the heads, like you know, we have master branch now and the feature branch. Let me just pull up my VSC, so that's easier. As you see, when I will open the master branch, the commit it should point to should be C3908. So let me just check that out. Opening in VSC, C39, this is the complete ID, and here we are being shown the partial one. Okay, so that's the master. So if you want to cross check again with feature, we can check that out as well. Is 0F827. So feature is 0F827. So this is also another way of knowing where your head is, or when you're confused. This is, you have multiple options now. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. Next is when you're merging, if you have a conflict, just discuss with your colleague with whom this code is conflicting with yours, and come to a conclusion. There's a very nice article here, and it had a pretty funny mime, so I just wanted to show you guys. Okay, this is when you merge, okay, two branches. So you need to sort your branch, and then you need to have ultimately have zero conflicts where the merge will get successful. That's about it. That's what I wanted to discuss in this session. Do let me know if you have any doubts. Thank you all.